the dream, you came back to me, and everything was how it should be.
Spring came so quickly here in the mountains this year. It's amazing how one moment everything is dead and cold and you have no hope in the world. And then all of a sudden, like magic, nature is bursting with every color. This spring has been so beautiful here, you guys. Life is just exploding all around. The flowers are blooming all over these hills. The rivers are raging with the melt of snow high up in the mountains, and the birds are back to their beautiful songs. The changing of the seasons has brought so much more spirit back into me. It felt like for a while there, everything was bleak. For so many months, I felt zero inspiration to film or really do anything creative. And I honestly thought maybe I would never feel good ever again. Maybe I would never feel excitement to create ever again. But as with everything in life, nothing lasts forever, and very slowly, as the warmth and colors have returned to these mountains, my spirit for life has returned as well. Last night I was sleeping with the window open, and I woke up this morning to the sound of rain, and the warm air was coming through the window, and just like the smell. Oh, I've just been wandering around all morning in this beautiful rain. The earth is just so vibrant here. When it rains, I love it so much. It just makes my heart so happy. Sometimes you just have to do something that makes you feel so uncomfortable and scared, like stand underneath a waterfall. And it just makes you feel so alive. I can't explain it. Earlier this week, I harvested a ton of stinging nettle down by the river, and I plan on using it to make a big pot of plant dye. If you're gonna harvest nettles for eating, then it's best to forage them early in the spring around this time of year because they haven't flowered yet. The flowers and the more like mature nettle leaves later in the season can be really bitter tasting, so it's best to harvest them this time of year. So I let the nettles sit in water for about 2 days to extract the dye, and now I am adding some white linen to this dye pot, and I'm gonna leave it for about a day. I'm making this dye in my cast iron pot, so that's why the color looks so black. The iron from the pot will hopefully darken the natural color from the nettles. Okay, so this week I've been doing a bit of preparations for this upcoming wedding. I'm getting married in about a week, and so today I'm making some beeswax candles for the dinner table. I am so excited about this wedding, you guys. We decided to have a very small one with just my family and Logan's and a couple of friends, and I think it's gonna be around 16 people. I just feel like it's gonna be such a cozy night. Ever since I was little, I wanted to get married barefoot in a field of flowers with just a couple of people around. And isn't it funny how the world works? Because that is exactly what I am doing. So I'm rolling these candles in some dried wild rose, some wild mountain sage, and some lavender from the garden. I saw this idea online the other day and I thought it was really cool because when you burn the candles, the herbs will burn as well and just smell really nice. So I had some extra nettles that I didn't end up using in the dye pot, and I'm gonna make some pesto out of them. I also hung some bunches to dry that I will use for tea throughout the year. Nettle is so good for you. It's super anti-inflammatory as well as being really high in antioxidants. There's actually some studies that show it can really reduce pain if you suffer from arthritis. I like to make herbal tea rinses for my hair, and I will add dried nettle to that mixture as well as rosemary, peppermint, and hibiscus. Nettle is actually one of the oldest recorded remedies used for treating and preventing hair loss, which is really cool. So I'm just crushing up some garlic, pine nuts, olive oil, and blanched nettle to make this pesto. Many people see nettles as like a terrible weed, but it's really just like this hidden superfood right in our backyards. And let me tell you, this pesto turned out so good. Oh my gosh. I think I'm gonna go back and harvest a bunch more and make more pesto to freeze for the rest of the year. Okay, so this is what color the linen ended up turning, which was honestly very surprising to me. To be honest, I was expecting it to turn like dark green, but I think the iron reacted with the dye in the nettle and yeah, it ended up turning it like this warm brown color. Crazy. I'm actually really excited about this fabric. I love the color that it became. I've been keeping little fabric pieces from every plant dye experiment that I do, and then I'll record it in my journal just to keep the results saved. I think what I love most about this time of year is the feeling of the warm afternoon air on my skin. For so long, we walk outside and such a harsh feeling of bitter cold greets us, and it just feels like that cold lasts forever. Ugh. But then all of a sudden, you wake up and you walk outside, and it feels like the air is giving you a big hug. I've been collecting so many flowers this season and have been pressing all of them to preserve them. Now, every book in my library has some sort of flower being pressed inside of it, and I love it so much. These wild native yellow flowers are the first to bloom in the spring, and actually many of them are starting to lose their leaves and die now, which feels like even more special to preserve something that you won't see for an entire year. I remember when I first moved here 4 years ago, I had no idea that these flowers bloomed in the spring. And then all of a sudden, I went on a walk during the springtime in these mountains, and there was just fields and fields as far as the eye can see of yellow flowers. And I literally could not believe it. It blew my mind. It kind of felt like it wasn't real, like I had stepped into Narnia or something. And the afternoons here are just so special with the sun shining into this little valley. Oh, the feeling of laying in the grass with a good book. It's, I think, maybe one of my favorite feelings in the world. Okay, so I'm getting married in a week. and I'm planning on making the cake for the wedding. Last year, I made 2 giant wedding cakes for my sister's wedding. That was the first time I'd ever done like a multi-tiered cake. I had to use dowel rods in order for it to not tip over. And those cakes turned out okay. The flavor of them was amazing. Like, they tasted incredible, but the presentation was like a 2 out of 10. If you guys remember, I was really in a rush making those cakes. I was like still frosting the cakes and the wedding had already started. It was just kind of a mess, honestly. So I'm gonna learn from my mistakes. Today, I'm gonna make a practice cake, and I guess we'll see how things go. I want it to be just a classic vanilla cake with lemon preserves between each layer and then like vanilla frosting. I have like PTSD from last year's wedding cake experience. I feel like it was so stressful. Oh my God. So let's pray to the cake gods that this year's experience is better and that I make the wedding cake of my dreams. So I've been sitting on Pinterest lately trying to figure out what I want this cake to look like. It just feels like there's so many different ways to frost and decorate a wedding cake, and I honestly have no idea what looks good. Like, I just genuinely don't know what to do. Part of me really wants to leave the outside kind of exposed and not frost the edges, but then I start to second guess that idea because it just doesn't look very traditional. And I'm kind of going for a very traditional look for this wedding. I'm wearing a 80-year-old dress. It was my great-grandmother's dress, and it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. It's made from 100% silk, but it does look very traditional and very old. So I feel like I probably should just do a basic frosting on this cake. Lately, I feel like I've been really trying to focus on just being present with where I'm at right now in life. It's crazy how society makes us feel like we are constantly behind, constantly not doing enough, and needing to be better. I've been repeating this one sentence to myself: I am enough by just being me. And to just have faith that life will lead us to where we need to go. When we stop trying to control everything, that is when the right things start to happen. Really, I've just been trying to surrender to things more. This past year especially, I've been really trying to just let go of control. For so many years, I feel like I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do next, where I was gonna go, where I was gonna move. And this past year, I just really let all of that go. I realized, you know what? When the right situation comes, it will happen, and I don't need to force anything. And honestly, you guys, the moment I let go of control and just let go of trying to force things to go a specific way, some amazing things started happening. I have like a very exciting surprise to tell you all. I can't say it yet because it's too early, but what I can say is the moment I let go of feeling like I need to force life to go a specific way, the moment some really magical things started happening in my life that I could have never planned. I could have never forced life to go in this specific direction because I didn't even know that this is where I was supposed to go. Does that make any sense? We almost don't know what our best path is, and so we have to let go in order to figure that out. Yeah, I just let go of everything. And then all of a sudden, just magical things started happening to me. Okay, so what do you guys think of this final cake design? I actually really like it. I think I'm going to replicate this exactly for the wedding. Okay, so I let this fabric sit in the dye pot for about 24 hours. I'm really surprised by this color, to be honest. I thought I was gonna dye it like a green, but I did add a lot of iron. I dyed it in a cast iron pot, which I think really altered the color. It became like a brown kind of red, but it's actually one of my favorite colors I've ever gotten from a plant dye. I'm trying to decide whether to make an apron or a dress. I think I'm gonna sew a dress. I just love this color so much. I love how it looks like the earth. Okay, so I just finished this dress. I can't wait to try it on. Oh my gosh. I think my favorite thing about plant dyeing is that the colors end up looking so earthy and natural. Like you can perfectly blend in with nature. And on this warm and rainy spring day, I ran around in the rain all day long down by the river, swimming in the frozen glacier water and just feeling the rain on my skin. Oh, what an amazing feeling. Whenever I'm standing in the rain, I always like to imagine any negative thoughts or things I've been kind of holding on to being completely washed away with the rain. It's a really powerful practice, actually. You guys should try it during the next spring rain. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you next week with a very exciting video.